Okay. All right. Well, it is 9:30, so why don't we get started? Okay. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Jennifer Lenahan Cleary, and I'm the director of the Career Explorations in Arts and Sciences program at the School of Arts and Sciences. And I'm happy to bring this series of webinars to all of you through the generous help of a number of career experts and alumni. And today we have a little bit of both. We have a guest with us today, Jill Vitiello, who is the executive director of the Vitiello Communications Group, and she's going to talk to you all today about how to build your money-making skills right now. She was an English major here at Rutgers, and so she's going to tell you a little bit about her interesting career journey and also leave you with some tips on how you can manage through some of this crisis. I also want to let you all know that we have some assistants with us today. We have Nicole Gangino and Stacy Abruzzese, who is going to help us manage the chat and the questions. So a little bit of housekeeping. If you could use the Q&A feature to log any questions that you have, and feel free to write in questions as we're talking, and we're going to spend about 20 minutes doing the presentation and then leave about 10 minutes at the end for some Q&A. So feel free, as questions pop into your head, to add them to the Q&A. If you need to communicate with us as panelists or hosts, you can use the chat function to let us know if you're having trouble hearing or any technical problems or anything along those lines. So thank you very much for coming out today and joining us. Hope you have a cup of coffee and everyone's relaxed. And I want to introduce Jill to kick off her talk today. So thank you and welcome. Really happy to have you.
Jennifer, thank you so much for inviting me. Stacy and Nicole, thanks for your help in preparing for today. And thank you, students, for being here with us to talk about how to build your money-making skills right now. Now, I know that all of us are in a situation that we never planned to be in 2020. And I know that some of you are hurting. Some of you have lost loved ones. And I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that all of us are getting through this, but in different ways. And I'm going to share some ideas with you that I hope are helpful to you. They may resonate with you, they may not, and that's okay. We're here just to explore ideas together, and I'm here to offer you some thinking that you may not have had the opportunity to spend some time on, but we will today in the next 30 minutes. We're also going to, as Jennifer said, we're going to spend a little bit of time going through some ideas that I've prepared to share with you, and we're going to have an interactive poll in the content. So keep your phone handy. You're going to need that to vote. And we're going to just walk you through those instructions in just a moment as we begin to look together at the content. You know, Jennifer said that I was an English major at Rutgers. It was a really wonderful experience for me, but I will tell you that as an English major, I had absolutely no clue what career I would pursue. I knew I wanted to be a writer, and I developed the skills that I needed to be a writer at Rutgers. But I didn't know how to apply those skills in the real world. And so what I want to share with you today is something that I learned along the way by making lots of mistakes. But the secret is to develop an entrepreneurial mindset. And that's what I'd like to talk with you about this morning. So I think it's Nicole who's advancing our slides for us. I'm going to just ask you to do that right now. Let's see if it goes forward. There we go.
Let's see.
There we are. So my company is Vitiello Communications Group. I made the progress from Rutgers student on the banks to Wall Street, where I worked for a number of years in public affairs. And I learned the business of corporate communications. And in 1990, I started my own company. I began as a sole practitioner, and I grew the company to about 20 employees. We're in 7 states, and all of our folks work from home. We have a small office here in New Jersey, But in the current situation, everyone is well equipped and working effectively from their homes. Here on this slide, I'm showing you a link to our website. If you have any interest in learning more about Vitiello Communications Group and what we do, certainly happy to have you visit. And then there's my LinkedIn address. If you want to link in with me, I'm happy to connect. Also in the chat, I've placed my email. So if you'd like to get in touch with me after the webinar, I'm very happy to be in touch with students at Rutgers. On the left of the screen, you see an image that we use when we're talking to our clients about the work that we do for them. It's about the employee experience. Vitiello Communications Group provides all kinds of communication, content, strategy, and programs related to the 5 stages of an employee's life cycle with an employer. Everything from attract, recruit, onboard, develop, and retain. And the reason I wanted to share this graphic with you today is because this is how employers think of you. They think of you as talent that they're attracting into their organization, helping be successful, and then hanging on to when you're a really good superstar employee. Now, companies spend a lot of money to make you notice them, to let you apply for their jobs, to make sure that you've got all the tools you need to be a successful employee, to develop your skills, and then to retain you through whatever's going on. At my company, we're experts in change management communication and the employee experience. So we work a lot on programs that help people to engage with their employer. And I will tell you, companies spend a lot of money throughout your life cycle as an employee, and they expect something in return. They want you to do the job that you're paid to do. They want something else. They want you to add value. And that means that the best way that you can do that is to think like an entrepreneur, to act as if the company that employs you is your own company that you have to make successful. You're not there just to do a bunch of tasks that anyone else could do. You are there to bring your own unique talent and thinking to the opportunity and to add value in that way. So I know Rutgers students are known for our grit and our determination, our ability to see an opportunity and make the most of it. That's what entrepreneurial mindset is all about. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more. And if we could just advance to the next slide, what I want to do is take a moment to acknowledge our journey. Now, I took this photo at Rutgers Gardens several weeks ago before they sadly closed it down. And I'm guessing that for students at Rutgers, this journey is kind of what you had planned all along. You're a successful student. You've chosen a course of study. You're acing those courses. You're heading in the right direction. You're doing everything that you're supposed to do to be a successful student. Things are not like that anymore. You knew where you were going. The skies were sunny. The future was a little out of focus, but you were on the right track. But if we advance to the next slide, this is your journey now. It's a big difference. It's the same path, the same photo, just closer up, shorter distance. The road isn't as smooth. The path is converging. You've got some choices to make now. I get it. No student on the face of the earth signed up for this. You did not want to be online learning. You wanted to be there on the campus, enjoying student life and all the experiences that go with it. And that's not happening for you now, and it sucks. I can't even imagine. You don't know what to do? Guess what? Everyone is in the same boat. Everyone feels the same way. For some people, that is a really scary place to be. But for others, people who can develop an entrepreneurial mindset, it's scary and it's exciting. In business, entrepreneurs are the people who are the natural disruptors. Think about the famous entrepreneurial companies that you know. Facebook, Uber, Apple, Airbnb, Zoom, for example. All of those people and all of those companies disrupted the industries that they serve. And that's how entrepreneurs think. When they get into a scary place and they don't know what to do, they draw upon their own resources. And they take some steps that I'm going to share with you now. I'm going to move on to the instructions for how to join the poll. So here we are. So take out your phone. See, I'm already there. Here's how we're going to use Poll Everywhere to vote on a couple of the things that we're going to focus on, just 3 areas. So first, open up to a new text message. And then in the To field, type in the numbers 22333. You see them up there on your screen, 22333. And then in next, then you're going to type in my first initial, my last name, and the number 368. So JVITIELLO 368. Type that in the text message field and then send the text. And magically, you will receive a message that says you've joined Jill Vitiello's session. And in just a moment, as we go through each of the 3 points that I'm going to bring you through in an entrepreneurial mindset, you'll have the chance to vote on them. So set this aside for a moment. You're ready to go if you've received that reply message. I'm going to advance to the next slide. Thank you so much. So, 3 things to develop an entrepreneurial mindset. They are work for money, take action, and play. I'm going to give you just 3 quick stories to illustrate what I'm talking about. So work for money. When I was a student at Rutgers, I had to work my way through school. I did not have the luxury of taking an unpaid internship, and back in the day, they weren't that plentiful anyway. So during the summers, I had to work for the money that I was going to use as a college student to get through school. And the job that I had the privilege of doing was a factory job. It had nothing to do with being a writer. It had nothing to do with being an English major. It had a lot to do with making money, and it was good money. I worked in a factory at a pharmaceutical company here in New Jersey. And for 3 summers, year after year, I worked on the factory floor putting Valium tablets in bottles. That was my job. 8 hours a day, packaging Valium. And I worked alongside some people who were really interesting. And I learned what those people cared about. I learned what the factory workers working alongside of me and training me thought of the company, what they thought of the leadership, how they perceived the information that was shared with them. Fast forward about 20 years from that factory floor, now as the owner of Vitiello Communications Group, I was brought in by the same pharma company to provide them with communication strategy and counsel to help them engage their employees working, guess where? On that packaging line. So I had insights that I had learned 20 years earlier as a student working in a factory that I would never have had the opportunity to have. And the work that we were able to do with the leadership of that pharma company was stellar because we understood what people cared about and we were able to connect with them in very meaningful ways. I did that job for money. I never thought it would serve me. And 20 years later, it did. I suggest that's a good way to think like an entrepreneur, is to do something that's not quite on your path, helps you make money. You never know when what you learn is going to come in handy. The second step in developing an entrepreneurial mindset is to take action. I will share with you the fact that Vitiello Communications Group generally hires a summer intern. And we've done this year over year. We get a lot of applicants. And one year, an applicant truly stood out to us. And the reason that he did is because he and a buddy had done something, they had taken action that was really unusual and different from any of the other candidates that we were looking at that summer. Together, these guys developed a website and had a really active blog, and their interest was sneakers. So they did all this work, and they developed this blog, this website. They got a great following. It was amateurish. It wasn't, you know, truly professional. And this was several years ago. But it was just the fact that they took incredible action on their own. They took something that they were truly passionate about, really cared about, and turned it into something using the skills that they said they wanted to use while they were employed as interns. So I'd like to fast forward. We did hire the one young man who was applying for our internship. He worked with us one summer. I'm going to fast forward. After he graduated from school, he got a job in corporate communications at Johnson & Johnson, right down the road from you guys. Today, that intern is writing speeches for Alex Gorsky, the CEO of Johnson & Johnson. So he went from a sneaker blog 5 or 6 years ago to a speechwriter today. He took action, made himself stand out, did something that had absolutely nothing to do with Band-Aids or baby powder, but it made him stand out, and it showed that he had the skills that he was developing as a student to actually take a risk and do something. The third part of being an entrepreneur is the willingness to be playful. Not everything is going to be on that path that you have decided that you're going to go down. What you need to do is relax, take some time, and do what you like to do. I know one grad student, she's studying to be a psychologist, but she has an interest and a passion for beauty and fashion. She needed to make some money, so what did she decide to do? She got a job working at the Clinique counter. Now, I know you can't do that right now. This was back in the day before the pandemic. But she used the work that she did at the Clinique counter to develop her skills as a makeup artist. And she went on to create her own Instagram account, get a little side hustle going, and she developed a very unusual area of expertise doing makeup for women who are professional bodybuilders. So just because this student was on a path to be a psychologist, she was willing to do something in an area that was just interesting to her and brought her joy. She made money at it, and she had fun. Those are the things that you need for an entrepreneurial mindset. Be willing to work for money, take action, and be playful. If we go to the next slide, it's your turn to vote on which of these 3 things you would be most likely to do. So just take a moment, take your smartphone, go back and vote for the one that you would be most willing to do. And I am seeing if anything is coming through. I'm going to ask Nicole and Stacy to vote. I did vote, but I don't see it coming through. And unfortunately, it looks like our poll everywhere function is not working. So I'm going to say this. Let's switch it over and go into the chat. And if you'd like to weigh in the chat, just say which of those 3 you would be willing to do. Work for money, take action, or play to develop that entrepreneurial mindset. Okay, let's move on. I see we're quickly running out of time, so I want to get on to the next couple of points. Move on to the next slide. There we go. The one thing I wanted to tell you students is something very important that we're seeing in the workforce is that the pandemic has accelerated the future of work. And what I mean by that is that there were certain trends that we were seeing in the workplace that were moving slowly. For example, people working from home, people working in virtual settings, the ability to work everywhere, anywhere on any device and be effective and productive as an employee. Also having digital connection. And in our work as communication experts, we saw a lot of people working in Microsoft Teams, on Zoom and WebEx, but a lot of folks not willing to use the camera, not willing to join by video. We see that changing rapidly right now. So the good news is that as you're doing online learning and that this is your reality today, you are actually developing skills that are important in the workforce right now. Employers are looking for workers who are comfortable working in this kind of a remote situation. And so the pandemic has brought these things to bear. They have made it more acceptable to be in a work from home situation, to use digital connection and technology, and also to focus on well-being. There's a real surge of interest in making sure that people are okay. And I know for some students, that's always been a focus of theirs. That's more so than ever before in the workforce now. So what can you do in this world of the accelerated future of work? As I said a moment ago, there are things that you can do right now in the current situation. You could write a blog, you could contribute to a blog. You could create an Instagram account and become an expert in something that you're interested in, just for fun and just for the chance to enjoy that skill. One of the things I would recommend is that you begin to do some research on industry associations that are related to your course of study. Learn all you can about those associations, but most important, join the LinkedIn groups that they have free and available to anyone who would like to join them. In those LinkedIn groups, you have a chance to interact with professionals in the field that you want to be involved in, get to know them, get to build a network of your own, and really have an insider's view on what people are talking about in the industry that you'd like to be in at some point in your career. And then the last thing I would suggest is do something kind and volunteer to help boomers become Zoomers. There are people who are a little bit further in their careers who are really struggling with the WebEx technology and the Zoom technology. If you could offer to be a resource to them, I know that would go a long way and be very helpful to them as well. Now, we were going to vote on this, on which of these is the one that you would be most focused on. But in the interest of time and the fact that our poll isn't working correctly, we're going to go on to, I think, what is our last slide. Not that one, this one. I said a moment ago that entrepreneurs are disruptors. They embrace disruption. And I don't know if you saw last week, but there was a Jersey for Jersey program on television. And so many New Jersey artists were on and giving their support for pandemic relief. Bon Jovi created a new song, and actually he co-created it with listeners. And the refrain said, when you can't do what you do what you can. And I thought that was so relevant to thinking about developing an entrepreneurial mindset. Nobody is doing what they do. Nobody is doing what they thought they would be doing at this time. There's plenty of things that we can do. Some of the principles to guide what you can do in a crisis, I'm going to share with you today. There's a CEO group that I belong to, and one of the members said, we're wartime CEOs. We're not peacetime CEOs now. We're at war with a virus. So when you're in that situation, things are different, and you've got to act differently. 3 principles to guide you. The details of today are more important than a vision of the future. And the 2 pictures I showed you of your path, one was straight and narrow and beautiful, and one was a little less gorgeous. That's where we are right now. But understanding the vision of where we are right now is more important than thinking about what the future is going to be, because what we do today in this crisis is going to help us with the decisions we make in the future. Right now, survival outweighs happiness. And I know these are tough words, and they may not be for everyone. I just share them with you, and if you want to take them, I offer them to you. If they're not resonating with you, that's okay. But today, we really need to get through today. We need to do whatever it is that we are kind to ourselves and kind to others. We need to take the action that we're able to do and not grieve too much or too long on the things that we're not able to do. And again, short-term focus on execution drives success. So in order to be successful in one of your classes, you know that you've got to do the readings and the assignments for right now. You've got to do those week over week. That truth is so clear now and it will serve us well going forward. I do have to say, as I said at the outset, I know that this is a very tough time for people. And some people are really struggling even to be motivated to do what they're able to do. And I just want to say that's okay. One of the wisest things I ever learned was this: when you don't know what to do the next thing. And I'm going to give you a really simple example. There's some days you get out of the shower, you don't feel like blow drying your hair and putting on makeup. Take the shower, blow dry your hair, put on your makeup, do the next thing, whatever it is. It could be very simple. So to develop an entrepreneurial mindset, I do want you to keep in mind that it's the action that you're able to take right now that'll make a difference for you. I'm going to stop here and ask Jennifer and Nicole if there are any questions that students have.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jill. That was wonderful and very clear and helpful advice. So students, feel free to write in any questions that you might have in the Q&A section, and we'll pose those to Jill and get some answers in the next few minutes. I don't see anything in there right now, so I'm going to ask my own question. So Jill, I know that you do a lot of mentorship with women in particular.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I mean, especially getting into, actually becoming an entrepreneur, opening your own business, et cetera, it's a pretty male-dominated space. So do you have any specific advice for women who are interested in developing an entrepreneurial mindset and or possibly developing their own business one day?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking me, Jennifer. I am passionate about education and economic empowerment. And what does that really mean? I'm passionate about people getting as much education, getting their degrees, and then putting that to work for them so that they can earn a living and go on to have a successful career. For women, it has always been the case, as long as I've been alive, that sometimes it's a little more difficult, even in industries that are welcoming to women and predominantly women. It's just more difficult. We have other responsibilities if we should decide to become partners or moms or caregivers of any kind. And things are a lot different from when I graduated from Rutgers, but I will tell you there are excellent resources for folks who are interested in learning more about starting their own business. There's an organization called the National Association of Women Business Owners, and that is a really great place to start to do research on how you can become your own sole entrepreneur, how you can build a business based on the skills that you have right now. And I'll put that in the chat if it's helpful, or I can follow up. The other resource is the Women's Business Enterprise National Council. And this is an organization for women who may be further along in their entrepreneurial careers, but it's an amazing national resource for learning and growth and development. What I think is most important about these two particular organizations is they offer women community, and they offer a place for women to learn and grow together and to share best practices and encouragement. And I think if there's one thing I would recommend, it's that women who are interested in owning their own businesses find community with other women who do the same thing.
That's wonderful. That's very helpful. And I just want to share a quick tidbit with students to demonstrate some of your principles. We actually had a student, he's from the business school, and he reached out to me. He saw what we were doing with these talks. He's interested in digital marketing, and he offered to help punch up the flyers a little bit and circulate the word about these seminars to lots of different groups that he's in connection with. And I was very impressed by his entrepreneurial mindset. Certainly this is someone that I would recommend for an internship, for a job, right? Showing that type of initiative, taking that risk, reaching out to me. So these are things that feel scary often, but, when you do them, people often will welcome you with open arms. I mean, he showed up on my doorstep and I was excited, right? It was wonderful. So so you don't have to be an expert yet. You know, I know that held me back as an undergraduate, right? I was afraid to put myself out there until I felt really prepared. Um, so in any case, you don't have to be an expert. Just take action, show initiative, show enthusiasm, and people will embrace you, and that will help you along this journey, even in this, especially at this difficult time, because it helps you to stand out.
I agree with you, Jennifer. That's a great example.
So do you have any quick final words for us as we wrap up here?
I think the final thing is to sift through all the opportunities that Rutgers is providing you right now. Take the ones that feel right to you, and the ones that aren't resonating right now, keep them in your back pocket. You never know when what you've heard or learned may come in handy in the future.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.
Thanks. Thanks so much.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye
Bye,
now.
everyone.